Hello everyone, welcome to Barca News. It is April 17th, 2023, and Joan Laporta gave today the long-awaited press conference where for the first time he discussed in detail the Negreira case, and where not only did he defend the club, but he also went on the offensive, calling out people like Real Madrid, Javier Tebas, and La Liga, and also announcing there are currently 20 pending lawsuits against those who were defaming Barcelona in the media. Now, as promised, I'm bringing you the entire summary of that press conference. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Mo, and just a reminder that today at 7:15 Eastern Standard Time, I will be doing the live stream just like I always do on Mondays and Wednesdays. So just because I'm bringing you this video doesn't mean that the live stream won't happen. There's just a lot to cover in regards to Joan Laporta's press conference in the Enrique Negreira case, so I decided to make a separate video. So I will be discussing the rest of the Barcelona news in that live stream, so hopefully I'll get to see as many of you there. Now, as I mentioned in a previous video, Joan Laporta is scheduled a press conference for today where he addressed the findings of the internal investigation that Barcelona did in regards to the hiring of the former referee Jose Maria Enriquez Negreira, and where Joan Laporta gave the explanation or the findings of this investigation to all the club members and the press, and where the press were allowed to ask follow-up questions once Joan Laporta's presentation was over. Now, Joan Laporta confirmed that Barcelona paid a total of 7 million euros to the company owned by the former referee and the former vice president of the committee of referees, Jose Maria Enriquez Negreira, over the span of 17 years, where Barcelona had hired this company from 2001 to 2018 in exchange for technical reports about referees. Now, in regards to the hiring of this company, Joan Laporta explained, the main provider of the services was Negreira's son, which is important. When we arrived for our first mandate in 2003, we saw that this was interesting technical work being done by reputable people. We didn't see any ethical conflicts. We were using the son of the vice president who had worked with various clubs, Valencia and Girona, I think, the Spanish Federation, with Luis Aragones. It wasn't ridiculous to hire his services. So Joan Laporta confirming that when they hired Enriquez Negreira, they were hiring mostly his son, who was doing these reports and who had already been providing these reports to other clubs like Valencia and Girona, and even to the Spanish Federation itself. And Joan Laporta confirmed that they received between the years of 2014 and 2018 around 629 reports and 43 video reports, which Joan Laporta says that they still have all of these reports in the offices of Barcelona. So unlike what the mainstream media in Spain were saying that these reports were destroyed, that's absolutely a lie. Barcelona have all the reports that were provided by Enriquez Negreira's son between the years of 2014 and 2018. Now, Joan Laporta also confirmed that all these payments were done on the books, that the club have all the invoices of all the payments that were made to the company of the Enriquez Negreira. So this was not some clandestine operation like the media were trying to make it out to be, where Barcelona were dropping off bags of cash at the house of Enriquez Negreira. This was done on the books. This was an official hiring of a consulting company, and Barcelona have all the paperwork, all the reports, and all the receipts to prove it. Now, Joan Laporta went on to explain the innocence of the club despite the prosecutor's office deciding to file charges against the club and former board of director members. And Joan Laporta said, Barcelona have never acted with the intention of altering or influencing competitions to gain a sporting advantage. The courts have found no proof otherwise because there is none. It is not possible. This is the result of a smear campaign against Barcelona. It is the fiercest attack ever against Barcelona and has been done to ruin the club's reputation and destabilize us. So Joan Laporta is confirming what I've been saying in all my previous videos, that there's absolutely no evidence that Barcelona attempted to bribe any referees, that they try to buy any kind of influence, or that they were favored as a result of the hiring of Enriquez Negreira. And of course, the prosecutor's office in Spain has confirmed this. Also, the Treasury in Spain have confirmed this, because there's absolutely no evidence to say otherwise. But that, of course, hasn't stopped the mainstream media in Spain spreading lies and saying that Barcelona were bribing referees because, as Joan Laporta said, all this media are looking to do is destabilize the club. Now, Joan Laporta went on the offensive in regards to the smear campaign, and he said that Barcelona were victims of a public lynching, and he announced lawsuits against those who are defaming Barcelona in the media when he said, "We are taking legal action and have already filed 20 lawsuits against journalists and people for defamation. We believe we could be due an astronomical amount in compensation for damages." Now, Joan Laporta once again confirming what I reported about in a previous video, that Barcelona have filed 20 lawsuits against journalists and media outlets who were defaming Barcelona in the media, spreading lies, saying that Barcelona were bribing referees, that there's plenty of evidence of that when there wasn't any. And I'm really glad that Barcelona are doing this and are going on the offensive, because it's absolutely unacceptable that for the media to get away with this, because yes, there is freedom of the press, but if you don't have any facts and you're purposely spreading lies, that you should be held accountable, because the freedom of press is not a free pass for everyone to say whatever they want, and in the process hurting institutions and hurting people is just for the sake of ratings. Now, Joan Laporta went also on the offensive against Javier Tebas in La Liga when he said, "We are witnessing a public trial in which certain people are trying to harm those of us who have not bowed to their demands and wills. This is intolerable. I would like to single out in particular Tebas, who has acted irresponsibly and unprofessionally with his constant statements. He has fueled the controversy and even provided false documentation to prosecutors. I would ask him to curb his verbal incontinence, because it does no favors to the institution he represents. The timing is no coincidence. Just as Barca are coming out of financial crisis, having rejected La Liga's CVC agreement and being part of the European Super League." So Joan Laporta is calling out specifically Javier Tebas, who has done nothing but continue to spread the lies in the media and flaming the fire or fueling the fire instead of quelling it, when he, as La Liga's president, should be looking out for the best interests of all the club in the Spanish league. And instead, he's taking this opportunity to try to destabilize and defame Barcelona in the media, which is, of course, absolutely unprofessional as La Liga's president. Now, this is, of course, no coincidence that Javier Tebas has been doing this right after Barcelona rejected that CVC deal. And for those of you who don't recall, the CVC deal was a deal that Javier Tebas brought to the league, where the CVC fund agreed to inject cash into the Spanish league in exchange for the TV rights of all the clubs in La Liga. And of course, Barcelona rejected this deal, and I'm glad that they did, because all the clubs who agreed to this deal, they're now suffering, having hard times with their wage bill, not being able to register players, not being able to sign players, and even having to offload players because they're still suffering economically despite selling their TV rights in exchange for that cash injection. Now, Javier Tebas is not the only person that Joan Laporta went after. He also went after Real Madrid, and as you might recall from my previous videos, Real Madrid filed an official request wanting to join that lawsuit against Barcelona as a party, because they considered that they were prejudiced by Barcelona hiring Enrique Negreira. Now, in regards to Real Madrid wanting to join this lawsuit and claiming that they were prejudiced, Joan Laporta said, "Real Madrid is a club that has been historically favored by refereeing decisions, a club that has been considered as the team of the regime. It is worth remembering that for 7 decades, most of the presidents of the refereeing committee have been ex-members, ex-players, or ex-directors of Real Madrid. For 70 years, the people who were there to dispense justice on the field of play have been people connected to Real Madrid. For them to claim they feel wrong is an unprecedented exercise in cynicism." So Joan Laporta firing back at Real Madrid and exposing their absolute hypocrisy, because as the Barcelona president said, for the longest time, all the presidents of the board of referees and even the referees themselves have been former players, former members, or even former directors of the club at Real Madrid. So for Real Madrid to claim that they were prejudiced, it's an absolute joke, and it's absolutely laughable, because for almost a century, Real Madrid have always benefited from bad refereeing calls in their favor. And in fact, we don't even have to go that back in history. We all know that they have won 2 La Liga titles and 3 Champions League titles these past 10 years. thanks to bad refereeing calls. Now finally, Joan Laporta addressed UEFA's president Alexander Ceferin and thanked him for not continuing to make public statements in the media in regards to the Negreira case without any facts or without a final conclusion by the courts. And Joan Laporta said, initially Mr. Ceferin made some statements, but now he is acting prudently. So far, Ceferin has not fallen into Mr. Tebas' trap. I think that throughout the history of football, there have been real scandals. Here, a false hypothesis is validated. From the inputs I have, UEFA understands that this is in a judicial process. I understand that it will be pronounced when there is a trial. We will carry on as normal. Now, of course, as I reported in a previous video, Joan Laporta did send letters to both UEFA and FIFA asking them to refrain from making any public statements until all the facts have come out to light and there's a final judgment by a court. And ever since then, UEFA's president Alexander Ceferin has not made any public statements, so Joan Laporta thanked him for that. And in regards to FIFA, they never made any public statements to begin with, and so Joan Laporta also thanked FIFA from refraining of making public statements, unlike Javier Tebas, who as the president of La Liga should be doing the same thing, waiting until the final ruling from the court. But instead, he's taking that opportunity to try to defame Barcelona and try to destabilize that club. So that is the summary of the 2-hour press conference that Joan Laporta gave, where he addressed the Enrique Negreira case, and where not only did he defend the club, but he went on the offensive. And I'm very happy that Joan Laporta did this, that he stood up for Barcelona after so many weeks of this media campaign that has looked to destabilize the club, defame Barcelona, and make the club look bad. And I'm very glad that we have a president who has the backbone to defend the club, who has the backbone to stand up for the club. And you might disagree on things with Joan Laporta in regards to his presidency, but there's one thing that you cannot disagree on, is that Joan Laporta has always been a man of the club, someone who stands up for FC Barcelona and someone who defends FC Barcelona with everything that he got. And I'm happy that we finally have a good president that's willing to do this, unlike Bartomeu and Rosé, who all they did was ruin this club. But now we have a great man in Joan Laporta, who's not only looking to rebuild the club and put us back on the right path, but he's also there willing to lay his life on the line, metaphorically speaking, and to defend Barcelona with everything that he has. Now, of course, I always love to hear from you, so drop a comment down below letting me know what you thought about this press conference. What did you think about Joan Laporta's words explaining what happened and about his offensive tactics against Real Madrid, Javier Tebas, and La Liga? That is it for today. I will see you on the live stream at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. As always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. And of course, before I end this video, as always, Pisca Barça.